The table was set for 4, but the weight felt like it was resting entirely on my shoulders. The scent of rosemary chicken filled the air, thick and suffocating. I had just come from the studio, 72 hours of tracking shipments, balancing the ledger, and scrubbing the grit of someone else's ambition from the floors. My eyes burned from the blue light of 3 hotel contracts. Across from me, Savannah was a vision of effortless light. She was tan, glowing from a week in Tulum, a creative reset, funded by the store's emergency reserve. She laughed, a sound like wind chimes, describing the vibe of the waves. Dad didn't look at me. He didn't ask about the audit. He just pushed a stack of crumpled receipts toward my plate. The linen shipment is short, Kara. Sort it before Monday. That I'm exhausted, Dad, I whispered. My voice felt thin, like worn-out silk. I've been carrying the shop alone for a month. I need a break. The clinking of silverware stopped. The silence wasn't empty, it was a wall. Savannah is the heart of our brand, Mom said, her eyes fixed on the centerpiece. She needs space to dream. You're the hands. It's how we work. That it's not working for me, I said. Dad leaned in, his expression hardening into a mask of cold logic. Then leave. You work while your sister enjoys. That's the family contract. Don't like it? The door has always been open. The chair scraped. A sharp, jagged sound that cut through 20 years of silence. I stood up, and for the first time, I didn't feel like a beam. I felt like the exit. Fine, I said. I'll leave. And you can start paying your own bills. The city was a blur of neon and rain as I drove away, but my mind was a sharp, clinical grid of numbers. For years, I had told myself I was the glue holding the family together. Now, sitting in the quiet of my temporary apartment, I realized I wasn't the glue, I was the engine. And the engine was finally cooling down. That I opened my laptop. The screen glowed like a confession. I looked at the family ATM, not as a daughter, but as a forensic accountant. I saw the $3,600 monthly transfers to their mortgage, the inspiration, stipends for Savannah's gallery hops, the utility bills I'd automated so Mom never had to hear a dial tone cut out. I had been a support beam for so long I'd forgotten I was also the architect. That I began the correction. It wasn't an act of rage, it was a surgical removal of my presence. I clicked deactivate on the shared business credit lines I personally guaranteed. I unlinked my bank account from the store's vendor portal. One by one, the digital threads snapped. The repeat payment toggle for the store's lease, the one they assumed was a gift from the universe, I flipped it to off. Guilt tried to find me. It spoke in my mother's voice, whispering about loyalty and legacy. But another voice answered back. Love isn't a debt you pay until you're bankrupt. I wasn't just moving out of a house, I was moving out of a role that had made me invisible. I closed the lid, and for the first time in a decade, the air in my lungs belonged only to me. The collapse didn't happen with a crash, it happened with a dial tone. 2 weeks into my silence, the illusion of success began to peel back like old wallpaper. Without my hands on the keys, the store was a ship without a rudder. The first signs arrived in my inbox, notifications of failed logins, bounced checks, and frantic alerts from vendors I'd managed for a decade. The phone call started at 6 a.m. Dad's voice was a jagged blade of panic. Kara, the shipping portal is locked. The landlord says the rent transfer failed. Fix it. Now. I didn't fix it. I listened to the message, then deleted it. Next came Mom. Her voice was a soft, trembling weapon. The lights went out in the gallery, honey. Savannah had an opening tonight. How could you be so cruel over a dinner disagreement? Cruelty wasn't the word. The word was consequence. They had mistaken my labor for a natural resource, like air or sunlight, something that would always be there for the taking. But when the family ATM ran dry, the inspiration couldn't keep the heaters running. I watched from a distance as the store's public facade crumbled. The $24,000 contract with the city was canceled for non-compliance. The credit lines I'd once balanced with surgical precision were frozen. That I sat in my new office, surrounded by the quiet hum of my own thriving projects. I realized then that their power was just paper armor. It only existed as long as I was willing to carry the weight for free. The second the carrier stepped away, the pyramid folded under its own vanity. Morning light now slants across a desk that belongs to me. There is no whiteboard here with labor written under my name. There is only the hum of a laptop and the smell of fresh cedar. 6 months have passed since the support beam walked out, and the world didn't end. It just rearranged itself into something honest. That I recently saw a photo of the old shop. The family ATM jar was gone, and the windows were dark, but the story didn't end in ruin. It ended in reality. Dad took a job at a logistics firm, scanning crates, learning the weight of $1 he didn't have to forge. Mom is selling small sketches at the local market, her hands finally stained with ink she earned herself. Even Savannah is working, measuring frames at a hobby shop, discovering that inspiration requires a level of precision she once mocked. Logan sits across from me now, sketching a layout for our joint firm. He doesn't ask me to carry the load, he asks me to share it. We are building something with skylights and open walls, a place where shadow isn't a permanent resident. I looked at my old sketchbook today, at that 12-year-old's drawing of someday. I realized I didn't destroy my family by leaving. I saved myself, and in doing so, I gave them the only gift they ever truly needed, the necessity of their own growth. That I am no longer fuel for someone else's fire. I am the hearth. And for the first time, the heat is mine to keep.